Kurakhovo is finished. Russians have cut the last supply route, and the encirclement is in full swing. Good day, dear friends. Here, as always, we continue to examine the situation on the front daily, analyze maps, assess advancements, and draw conclusions about how specific events may ultimately impact the overall situation. Today we'll focus on two significant episodes. In one, the Ukrainian Armed Forces, UAF, were entirely absent from their defensive positions, allowing Russian forces to enter a settlement unchallenged. In the other, an entire battalion simply deserted, abandoning their positions, fleeing, and enabling another breakthrough by Russian forces. We'll delve into these events and, as a side note, reflect on General Gerasimov's recent statement that all objectives for 2024 have already been achieved. An odd claim, to say the least. Now let's turn to the situation on the front. Opening the map. As I mentioned earlier, we'll review two illustrative episodes. In one case, a Ukrainian battalion simply fled its positions. In the other, there was no one at all to defend critical positions. Let's start with the latter. The first episode occurred south of Kurakhovo. You may recall I previously mentioned the advance from Suki Yali, stretching 3 kilometers toward the village of Zelenovka, a settlement standing in the way of reaching a strategically critical route. This road, connecting Zaporizhia to Kurakhovo, is the only remaining supply line for the UAF to exit Kurakhovo, albeit under fire. If Russian forces reach this route, it will be physically severed, leaving no way out. Consequently, these positions are highly significant. However, Russian units managed to capture Zelenovka on the fly and continued advancing toward this route in two directions, toward Ulakli and Constantinople. How did this happen? After Russian forces successfully ousted the UAF from Suki Yali, secured the village and cleared it, the question arose about further movement. The options were westward toward Razliv or northward toward Ulakli. The command decided that since forces were already advancing toward Razliv from Razdolnoye, the northern route was preferable. On December 15th, 4 BMPs moved out from Suki Yali, covering 3 kilometers unimpeded and entering Zelenovka. Along the way, they encountered several fortified trenches, but they were empty. No UAF soldiers, no mines, no resistance. Not even in Zelenovka itself. The settlement was completely deserted. Even Ukrainian reconnaissance drones failed to react until Russian BMPs were already retreating back to Suki Yali. On December 16th, reinforcements arrived. 3 additional BMPs, a tank for fire support, and 17 personnel deployed to the western outskirts of Zelenovka. Again, there was no reaction from the UAF, no attempts to attack the vehicles or engage the troops. Thus, within just one day and without losses, Russian forces captured this strategically important settlement and continued their maneuver to encircle the entire Kurakhovo garrison of the UAF. As of today, December 19th, Russian forces are advancing on Ulakli and Constantinople. Positions near Ulakli are only 1 kilometer away, while Constantinople is just 2 kilometers out. The noose around Kurakhovo is tightening rapidly. As for why the positions were abandoned, there are two plausible explanations. Either the UAF failed to deploy infantry here due to a shortage of manpower, or UAF soldiers simply fled. Additional information may emerge later. Meanwhile, another report surfaced yesterday about part of a UAF battalion deserting their positions, enabling yet another Russian breakthrough. Turning to the fleeing battalion, or rather, part of the battalion, though it makes little difference, this occurred on the Pokrovsk direction. After witnessing the destruction of the 3rd National Guard Brigade, where in the fields between Shevchenko and Peshano, nearly half of the brigade's combat-capable units were wiped out, it seems someone decided they didn't want to meet the same fate as their comrades. Consequently, UAF soldiers on positions north of Novotroitskoye and southwest of Shevchenko abandoned their posts and disappeared in an unknown direction. The Russian army command on the ground immediately seized this opportunity, breaking through the resulting gap. As a result, by last evening, Russian forces advanced unopposed through the empty UAF defenses to the villages of Volkovo and Solenoye. This is a significant development. Advancing into Solenoye puts pressure on Novaya Vasilievka. Recall that yesterday, Russian forces entered Novaya Vasilievka, capturing a street on the village's eastern outskirts. Now, with the advance into Solenoye, this pressure will extend to the northern outskirts of the village as well. Meanwhile, the advance into Volkovo threatens the UAF garrison in Peshanoy. As I mentioned yesterday, General Tarnavsky, who now commands the UAF in this region, appears unable to stabilize the situation or push back Russian forces. On the contrary, the UAF continues to retreat, bringing the fall of the fortress city of Pokrovsk ever closer. Other significant events occurred yesterday in the area of Velikaya Novoselka. After many days of intense fighting, Russian forces expelled the UAF from the village of Novi Komar, bringing it under Russian control for the second time. This development has placed the UAF garrison in the nearby settlement in a very precarious position, to put it mildly. From the east, they are already blocked, and now from the north, a direct road runs from Komar to the northern outskirts of Velikaya Novoselka. In short, wherever you look, the UAF is struggling with no apparent successes, while the momentum of the Russian offensive remains high. For instance, yesterday alone, the Russian army captured 28 square kilometers of territory, and over the 18 days of December, they have seized 270 square kilometers. Kursk direction as of the evening of December 19th. The situation. Russian armed forces units continue their offensive, while the UAF fiercely defends. Progress is slow, but there is advancement. First, Novoivanovka was fully cleared yesterday, significantly worsening the situation for the UAF in the neighboring settlements of Leonidovo and Viktorka, which is already visible on the horizon. However, it seems Leonidovo will likely be targeted first. This key village is critical for advancing toward both Viktorka and Sverdlikovo. Additionally, there have been tactical successes in the area of Cherkasskaya Konopelka. The overall direction of movement is toward Makhnovka. An interesting video has appeared on the internet. For some reason, many of my viewers don't believe that North Koreans are either already involved or will start participating soon. However, major Russian telegram channels associated with the military often hint at this. In any case, we will soon receive 100% objective footage of their involvement, in my opinion. So here's what I'm talking about. It seems that a train carrying at least a division of North Korean self-propelled artillery, SPAs, is moving across Russia. The question is, where are they heading? The first videos of them in Russia appeared back in October, but they haven't been spotted at the front yet. Most likely, at that time, the howitzers were sent to testing grounds for trials, crew training, likely joint crews, development of operating instructions, and creation of firing tables. And now, it seems, they are heading toward the front. The main question is, how will they be used? Considering their impressive range, up to 40 kilometers, they could very well be part of counter-battery artillery groups, as their range completely surpasses all NATO and American howitzers. However, it's also possible they will be used to target command centers, communication hubs, depots, and other rear zone facilities. In any case, we'll find out very soon.